Hey everyone, welcome to the channel where we love to talk about movies. Welcome especially if you're new. Here today we're going to review Evil Dead Rise. I saw this a couple days ago in the theater, so getting around to reviewing it today. So to start off with a synopsis, in this film, it's a twisted tale and stra- of it's a twisted tale of two estranged sisters whose reunion is cut short by the rise of flesh-possessing demons, thrusting them into a primal battle for survival as they face the most nightmarish version of family imaginable. So I'm going to keep this spoiler free. I'll talk pretty generally or just stuff that kind of goes into the setup of the film. Don't have to worry about spoilers here. I will say overall, kind of just up front, what my thoughts were on the film. I thought it's like one of the most scary films that I've seen, just from like the imagery that we have and the sound palette and all of that sort of stuff. But it wasn't like the most interesting film for me. So it was, I think, really good for horror, and I assume horror fans are gonna like this. But for me, I don't particularly enjoy horror in and of itself, so I need there to be a little bit more to the film, which this one didn't quite give me. So for me, it was personally a C. But I think as a horror film, it's pretty close to the top there, especially for the things that it does well. It really does well. So kind of going into specifics, I thought that the cold opening scene was interesting. It just plays a scene and then it says one day earlier, but then it's following different characters. So it was interesting to see if that would connect at all, and how it might. And you just kind of left wondering that as the film plays out. So I thought that was an interesting way to start the film. The what I think my most favorite part about this film, like, and things that I oftentimes, as do most people with horror, you find that the characters just aren't making good decisions and things just don't make sense. You're like, well, why don't you do this or that? And there's like clearly better choices to be made. This film did such a great job of explaining like why, like, it basically fully limited their options, and you're wondering like, why don't you run? And they don't run because, I mean, they do their best to run but they just can't, and things like that. So there's, I don't think, yeah, this doesn't really get into spoilers. Again, this is kind of the setup. It's things that you pick up. It's a super rainy night, so like you can't call for help. The power goes out. They're high up in a building that's kind of falling apart and primed to be demolished in like a month. So all these things, you're like, of course there isn't a fire escape. They're 8 stories up, so they're not just going to jump out a window. And things like that, where it just makes sense. And kind of the events are also kicked off, if you're familiar with, like, I haven't really seen any other Evil Dead movies other than Army of Darkness, but I assume they all kind of revolve around the Necronomicon. But anyway, like, the reason how that comes into play and why it's even open, there again, I thought it made sense enough why somebody would do that in this case. So things like that, I really appreciated that I could take this movie seriously. But yeah, those are just to name a few. I thought the characters are fairly well balanced. Like, you have the different kids and that sort of a thing. There's maybe a couple times where it's like, that didn't really make any sense. Maybe once that I'm thinking of, relating to a decision the youngest daughter makes. But yeah, for the most part, I think it made sense, and it was nice to see kind of the different characters. It was interesting seeing kind of some of the other tenants in the building and their reactions to things. But overall, this was just a really, really scary movie for me. And yeah, so I think it did it really, really well. A lot of that's in the imagery, and a lot of it's also in the violence, and as well the sound design and the music are all just very kind of like disturbing, and jump scares and stuff like that. But again, for me to actually like a horror film and to kind of be put through that anxiety and stress of being scared for an hour and a half, for me to actually like it and say it's one that I found worth my time or worth recommending, I am looking for something a little bit deeper, like a deeper message or something interesting to do with the plot. And this film just didn't really do that. I think it's a very face value film when it comes to that. But again, it does the horror stuff absolutely well. So if that's what you're going for, or if that's what you're looking for in a film, go see it. But for me, yeah, overall it's a C. It's one that I wouldn't discourage from going to go see or encourage either way. But if you've had a chance to see it, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to smash the like button and subscribe. And with that, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.